On a chilly morning in Manhattan's federal court, the once larger-than-life hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs walked into the courtroom, an image starkly different from the confident, flashy persona he once projected. Gone were the designer suits and diamond-studded accessories, replaced by a plain khaki jail-issued outfit that seemed to erase the glitz of his past. His face, once filled with undeniable bravado, now appeared thinner and more worn, streaked with the weight of time and hardship. The change was jarring, a visual punch to the gut for those who had expected the powerhouse figure Diddy once embodied. As he slowly made his way to his seat, the tension in the room was palpable, thick in the air. This wasn't the usual glitzy, sensationalized celebrity trial. The gravity of the moment was undeniable. Diddy, the man who once owned any room he walked into with a smile, now looked visibly deflated, almost a shell of himself. The courtroom fell silent as he sat down, and in a raw, unguarded moment, tears began to form in his eyes, slowly, steadily, streaming down his face. This wasn't just a high-profile legal battle, it was a father's breakdown, a man stripped bare before the world. For a moment, the courtroom held its breath. The composure that Diddy was known for seemed to melt away, replaced by a gut-wrenching display of vulnerability. His emotional collapse wasn't just about the charges he was facing, it was the weight of everything he'd built. The legacy he feared was slipping through his fingers. This was about far more than the courtroom drama unfolding. It was a fight. For his legacy, for his family, for his future. The tear-filled moment marked a turning point in the trial, as prosecutors relentlessly pushed for the release of damning evidence, materials that could tip the scales of the case in their favor. But Diddy, visibly broken, was left grappling with the emotional toll this was taking on him. What had started as a high-profile legal spectacle was now something far more personal. The pressure was mounting, and Diddy's vulnerability took center stage. This wasn't just about legal maneuvers. It was the downfall of a man who had once been untouchable, now facing the very real consequences of his actions. At the core of the prosecution's strategy was the demand for sensitive evidence, files, financial records, even personal communications that could pull the rug out from under Diddy's defense. The charges against him were staggering, entangling him in a web of sex trafficking and organized crime. The case was massive, complicated, and overwhelming for even the most seasoned legal minds. The prosecution pushed forward relentlessly, seeking to expose every bit of incriminating material they could get their hands on. The weight of the evidence was crushing. Terabytes of data, a vast ocean of information, held the potential to expose a side of Diddy's life that had been shrouded in the glow of fame, fortune, and public adoration. This was a life that, until now, had been carefully guarded, with only glimpses seen by the world. The defense team was under immense pressure, knowing that every bite of evidence could be a devastating blow. Each file, each record, a possible nail in the coffin. But the real question was, what was hidden in those files? Were they truly as incriminating as the prosecution suggested, or were they just a collection of scattered details, circumstantial at best, waiting to be manipulated into a damaging narrative? As the legal battle raged on, the courtroom buzzed, with the electric tension of a high-stakes showdown. Diddy, however, remained composed, though not without showing the weight of the situation pressing on him. For many, his demeanor only underscored the gravity of the moment. He was no longer the mogul at the top of the world. He was a man facing an uncertain and dangerous future, the emotional burden weighing heavily not just on him, but on his family. As well, Diddy's family, in fact, became a central part of the courtroom drama. His twin daughters, Jessie and Delilah, sat in the second row, their expressions a mixture of worry and quiet support. Their presence in the courtroom served as a poignant reminder of the human stakes involved in the case. Despite the chaos unfolding around him, Diddy made a conscious effort to maintain some semblance of normalcy. He turned to his children with a reassuring smile, a silent message that he was still their father. At one point, he even mouthed, "You okay?" to one of his sons, who responded with a gesture, a fist over his heart. In that fleeting moment, amidst the courtroom's tension and speculation, the bond of family shone through, a rare instance of tenderness in the midst of the storm. But outside the confines of the courtroom, the public's eyes were fixed on the seriousness of the charges against Diddy. Charges that were anything but trivial: racketeering, conspiracy, and illegal sex trafficking. If convicted, these charges could result in decades behind bars. Diddy's trial was set for May 5, 2025. But until then, he would remain at the Metropolitan Detention Center, a far cry from the private jets and luxury yachts he once commanded. The contrast between his former life of excess and the cold, sterile environment of federal detention was stark, a brutal reminder of just how far he had fallen. As for the prosecution, they weren't relenting. They painted Diddy as a dangerous figure, using his power and influence within a criminal network as a backdrop for their accusations. The severity of their claims was amplified by allegations that Diddy had attempted to tamper with witnesses, even allegedly involving family members, in a bid to manipulate testimony and shift the case in his favor. This added yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted defense. The weight of the charges was heavy enough, but the sheer magnitude of the evidence against him made it even more overwhelming. Federal investigators had seized terabytes of digital material during raids on Diddy's properties, including emails, financial records, and private communications. The prosecution's strategy was clear: expose every bit of evidence, no matter how damaging, and use it to build a case that would take down one of the most powerful figures in the entertainment industry. In Miami and Los Angeles, investigators seized over 96 electric devices, cell phones, laptops, tablets, and more, each one brimming with potentially damning information. If thoroughly examined, this treasure trove of data could take weeks, if not months, to process. Along with the electronics, there were mountains of financial records, hotel bookings, and countless other details. Together, they painted a picture of a man deeply enmeshed in a sprawling criminal enterprise. As the prosecution worked tirelessly to sift through this evidence, Diddy's legal team was left scrambling, their strategy under constant pressure. But the courtroom drama wasn't the only battlefield. The media circus surrounding Diddy's case added another layer of torment. Every detail of his life, from the criminal activities to the emotional breakdown in court, was laid bare for the world to scrutinize. It wasn't just about winning or losing a trial. It was about fighting for his reputation, his legacy, and his family's future. The once larger-than-life mogul, known for his extravagant parties and unshakable persona, was now a man facing the consequences of his own choices, a man exposed in a way he had never been before. Public opinion was split down the middle. Some expressed sympathy for Diddy, acknowledging the overwhelming pressures of growing up under the public's eye. But others argued that no amount of fame should shield someone from facing justice. Diddy's once carefully crafted public image seemed to be crumbling, leaving him vulnerable and uncertain. The charges against him painted a portrait of a man who had once seemed untouchable, protected by his wealth, fame, and influence, but now was staring down the harsh reality of a possible life sentence in federal prison. As the case unfolded, Diddy's defense team, led by heavyweight attorneys Mark Agnifilo, Tini Gagos, and Alexandro Shapiro, worked around the clock to fight back. Their strategy was aggressive, calculated, and relentless. They weren't just defending Diddy. They were challenging every aspect of the prosecution's case. At the core of their defense was a fierce commitment to protecting Diddy's constitutional rights. They made it clear Diddy was entitled to a fair trial, and they would not allow the prosecution's aggressive tactics to silence him. A central pillar of their defense was a direct challenge to the accusations of racial bias. The defense argued that Diddy's celebrity status and wealth had made him an easy target for scrutiny, and that the prosecution was using his fame to push an agenda that went far beyond the facts of the case. This line of defense brought a new layer of complexity to the trial, raising tough questions about the intersection of race, wealth, and privilege in the legal system. The stakes had shifted from just proving or disproving the charges. It had become a fight for fairness in a system that often seems stacked against the powerful legal system. The next steps for the Combs family and their defense team were crucial in determining the fate of this case. As the evidence continued to unfold, every twist in the trial brought new revelations, and one moment in court was particularly shocking. When Sean "Diddy" Combs walked into the Manhattan federal court, it wasn't the music mogul the world had come to know. Gone was the figure synonymous with luxury, style, and unwavering confidence. Instead, he walked in wearing a simple khaki jail-issued uniform, stripped of the designer suits, diamonds, and the trademark swagger that had defined his public persona. For decades, the difference was undeniable, almost jarring. He looked visibly thinner, more fragile, like a man weathered by the storm he was now facing. His once jet-black beard was streaked with gray, a stark sign of the toll this entire ordeal had taken on him. The mood in the courtroom shifted dramatically. The air was thick with anticipation as Diddy slowly made his way to his seat, each step seeming to carry the weight of a lifetime of decisions. The usual chatter of reporters and onlookers fell silent, replaced by a tense stillness. Time itself seemed to slow as everyone held their breath, watching a man who had once ruled the entertainment industry with a larger-than-life presence now visibly struggling with the most devastating moment of his life. Then, the unexpected happened. Tears began to stream down Diddy's face. This wasn't just another celebrity court appearance, this was a deeply personal breakdown. It wasn't simply about facing charges anymore, it was the unraveling of a life built on fame, fortune, and adoration. This emotional moment marked a pivotal turning point in the trial, a shift that would change how both the public and the court viewed the music mogul moving forward. As the trial progressed, the intensity of the legal battle only grew. Federal prosecutors pushed forward with their relentless demands, requesting access to previously concealed documents and critical evidence, information that could either solidify the defense's case or tear it apart. What was hidden in these vaults of secrets? And why had this information been so carefully guarded? It became evident that this case was no longer just about criminal charges. It had evolved into something far larger, a web of intrigue, one that stretched far beyond what anyone had initially imagined. The prosecution wasn't simply looking to secure a conviction. They were after something far more powerful. Every piece of evidence they presented, from financial records to digital communications, was carefully crafted to paint a picture of a man deeply entrenched in a world of criminal activity. But the defense team, led by seasoned attorneys Mark Agnifilo, Tini Gagos, and Alexandro Shapiro, wasn't backing down without a fight. They were determined to counter every move, challenge every piece of evidence, and protect their client at all costs. Amidst the intense legal drama, Diddy's family played a significant role in the proceedings, their presence a constant reminder of the personal stakes involved. Their emotional struggles and quiet support added another layer to the already complex situation. As the Combs family navigated the turbulent waters of the trial, unsure of what the future would hold, the presence of Diddy's family in the courtroom became a focal point as the trial progressed. His 6 children, each arriving regularly to offer unwavering support, added an emotional depth to the proceedings. Quincy Brown, 33, Diddy's eldest child, appeared to be the most seasoned and composed, while his younger children, including Justin, Christian, Chance, and the twins, Delilah and Jesse, brought an added layer of vulnerability. Even Diddy's mother, Janice Combs, traveled from Florida to stand by her son's side during these incredibly challenging times. Throughout the trial, the family dynamic played a crucial role in shaping the defense strategy. They were not just there for emotional support. They were integral to the narrative that Diddy's legal team was constructing. The defense often pointed to the family's steadfast loyalty and love as a way to humanize Diddy, underscoring that behind the public figure was a father and a man struggling to hold his life together amidst chaos. A powerful collective statement from the family illustrated the deep emotional toll the case was inflicting, driving home the point that this wasn't just about legal charges, it was about a family enduring profound emotional pain. One particularly poignant moment came when Diddy looked over at his family in the courtroom, smiled, and waved at his children. He mouthed, "You okay?" to one of his sons, who responded with a fist over his heart. That simple gesture, the shared look between father and son, spoke volumes about their emotional bond. Even in the midst of such intense pressure, the family's presence, both physically and emotionally, was undeniably supportive, adding a human element to an otherwise tumultuous public spectacle. But there was more to their unity than just a show of affection. It was a critical part of the defense's strategy, helping to shape how the court and the public would perceive the situation.